When we start digital painting, we need to know how to use brushes first. I divided this topic into 5 parts: shape, opacity, size, texture, and edge. Generally speaking, brushes are divided into 2 basic types: square and round. You may have seen them everywhere. We use square brush to paint regular shape. If I want to paint a cube, I will use both square brush and eraser. Use brush to paint and eraser to clear the edge. Pick the color we need, then paint it on different faces. Next, we use the round shape brush to paint a ball. If we are satisfied with the shape, we can lock the layers transparent pixels. I like to paint from dark to light. This is my habit. You can use what you are good at. Rectangular brushes are included in square brushes. If you want to compress the height on one side of it, long press and move the small circle with the mouse or pen. We can also change the brush direction by rotating this small triangle. This is a quick and easy way to change the shape of brush. If you reselect the brush you changed earlier, it will restore to default setting. So don't worry if you want to change it a lot. Let's take a look at round brushes. The same operation to square brushes. We can change the round brush to an oval brush. These basic brushes are versatile and easy to acquire. I think which brush to use is completely a matter of personal preference. I use square brush for the left painting and round brush for the right one. Usually use 3 to 4 kinds of brushes for one piece. I got Airi paint brush from Schoolism. She is a concept artist. Her brushes are good to speed painting and quick concept. I use 3 kinds of brushes for this portrait. They all have an approximately square shape. My square brushes were used more for high contrast paintings. Use pen pressure and brush opacity to control the value. I paint the right painting in portrait. I don't have the same brush in Photoshop, but I can show you the similar ones. An oval brush, a line brush, and a round texture brush. I'm not good at using round brushes. I prefer the oval shape. When I use a round brush, I always use the eraser at the same time. This portrait has a real-time painting process on my channel. It's low contrast and softer than the former one. Use 3 to 4 brushes as well. Here are some tips for using the shape of the brush. When we use the brush tool, right-click the mouse and get the brush window. In this position, you can compress the brush and change the direction of the brush. Sometimes I will use the brush like a line to paint perspective. Whether it is a round brush or a square brush, the operation is similar. I speed up the same process. The second part is opacity. Before we expand this part, we need to talk about the setting of the digital tablet pressure-sensitive pen. Open the tablet setting, then open the pen settings. Choose the application you use and pay attention to the tip view. The default is set in the middle. I suggest you move it a step or two to the left. Different devices generally have similar options. Please remember to do this first. I choose a normal rectangular brush with pressure sensitivity for demonstration. Holding down the Shift key draws a straight line from light to heavy. The pen pressure is from low to high. Now I choose a brush without any pen pressure sensitivity. Here, near the opacity bar, there is a button. Press it and we will get a brush with pen pressure sensitivity. Set all of this back to default and let's take a look at the shortcuts. All the number button can change the opacity for the brush. Number 1 is 10%. I will choose a non-pressure brush to show you the process. Tap the number keys one by one. From 10% to 100%, 0 is 100% opacity. The numeric keypad functions the same as the numeric keys on the main keyboard. I speed up this similar operation. And here are some small tips to use brush opacity. The part I draw is much more solid, with an acrylic edge and shape. The part I circled is painted with low opacity texture brush. All the mountains were painted with the 100% opacity brush, whether they were in the middle ground or the foreground. 30% opacity for the middle ground texture brush, 50% for the foreground and 20% for the background. Because the part closer to the human eye is cleaner. The third part, size. We need to remember an important theory. Draw everything from big to small. Don't get too attached to details at first. We also have shortcuts to change the size of brush quickly. The right bracket increases the size, the left brush decreases the brush size. Both press and hold work. The only thing I want to emphasize is to use brush from big to small. Spending too much time on details upfront is doing futile work. I also made this mistake a lot when I started learning to paint. Here is a quick example with the 100% opacity pen pressure brush. The brush is from big to small, tone is from dark to light. Part 4. Texture. Working with brush textures is a lot of fun. I filled the third rectangles with different texture brushes in 2 colors. They looked different, but if I use the brutal for them, they are almost the same. Textured brushes are often used to draw transitions or control edge. This is one of my previous works. I used a lot of texture brushes. I use texture brushes mainly to increase contrast and save time. Simple vs complex contrast. I draw some lines to make it easy to distinguish which parts are simple and which are complex. Large curves and near straight edges are simple parts. It's usually easy to tell them apart. The more complex parts have many twists and turns, often showing irregular waves. I usually use texture brushes for complex edges. Complex edges need to be arranged in big, medium, and small shapes so as not to appear dull. Not only the central part of the painting, but also the background can be arranged in contrast between the simple and the complex. One side is simple, another is complex. These are reflections of the forest in water, and I generalize its shape in a slightly abstract way. I use this kind of contrast almost everywhere. You can see the complex part used more texture brushes. Essentially, texture brushes are used to add information. It can make complex part more complex, thus enhancing the contrast. Hopefully, this example has helped you understand better when to use texture brushes. Now we come to the last part, edge. In my opinion, edges are generally divided into hard and soft edge. On the premise of ignoring style, objects with mostly curved silhouettes have more soft edges, such as clouds, smoke, fur, light fabrics, and so on. Most artificial construct objects are basically hard-edged objects. In this painting, the clouds are affected by natural light, and there will be a clearer, bright part receiving light, which needs to be emphasized by adding a little harder edge. The circled part is the soft edge part that is not affected by the light. Buildings must have clear silhouettes, while the overall internal structure is also drawn with hard-edged brushes. Due to the effect of distance coloration, the top will be affected by the ambient color. We can learn those things from reality and nature. Hope this video gave you some ideas of how to use brushes. Thank you for watching this video and see you next time.